Hey there friends, what's going on? This is David Potts with Song Notes, and I want to show you today how to play a much requested song. This is going to be Millionaire by Chris Stapleton. Now, I have a 4-pager sheet music written up for this one. It's going to give you everything you need to know, the lyrics, the intro tab, the chords, and I also have a bunch of strumming pattern write-ups, some chord progression write-ups, and a few different tabs for that intro. If you want something super simple, I got that. If you want the written out statistical, mathematical, 16th note version with all the filler strums, I have that tabbed out as well. It's all there. This is a true labor of love. You can find this, plus all my other Chris Stapleton lessons and everything else at playsongnotes.com. That's my official website. You can check that out. Well, finally, before I get into it, thank you very much, all my members, all of you supporting me with monthly donations or the annual pledges. The support keeps the lights on. It is tremendously appreciated. And if you're not a member and you're interested and you like my lessons, you want to see more of my lessons, you want to support me, head on over to my website. You can learn more there. You also get great perks such as 50% off on all my sheet music and full access to my instructional PDF library, all my non-song PDFs, which help you build the skills to play songs like this. But enough talk, let's get into this lesson, and I'll see y'all on the other side. Let's do it. All right, y'all, so let's kick things off by getting into the intro riff of this song. And again, this intro riff and these chords are what you're also going to use during the chorus. So you learn this, and you're going to have more than half the song learned, arguably. And I don't know what kind of learner you are, but here's the deal. In the next 10 minutes, I want to take you to the promised land, right? I'm going to show you a few different ways to get there. One is just this basic tab version. This is the at a glance. This is not showing the timing. It's not showing all the filler strums. It's sort of giving you like the foundational notes you need to hit. Now, some of you might be a bit more mathematically minded, like myself, right? I kind of like to know the exact timing and when all the exact strums are happening. So I also have this version written out for you as well. I'll get into this a little bit later as well. But before I do either of these, the one thing I want to talk about is not just the chord shapes, but also just the basic counting involved with this intro and with this chorus. Because if you don't understand this timing, and you play the right notes, they're not going to have that same magnetic pull that Chris Stapleton's version have, right? You have to have the timing, and then you sort of bring in the notes, and then you can bring in the filler strums if you want, and you'll be good to go. All right, so let's get into this one really quick. Now, chords, what chords are we going to need? Well, if you look at this at a glance version, you see these written below with the red ink, right? We need our G, we need our C add 9, and we need our D. Okay, so let's look at the chord shapes here. I have them written out as tabs, and then I have them as diagrams also. The thing about these 4 chords is your ring finger is going to stay on this note for all the chords. The 2nd string, 3rd fret note. Okay, so that's your G, that's your C add 9. Those two are super similar chords. You need to be able to sort of transition between them quickly. All you're really doing is moving these 2 fingers between the 6th and 5th string to the 5th and 4th string. They're sort of staying diagonal from each other. Okay? Now we have our D chord, basic D chord you normally play. Again, notice how your ring finger is in the same spot that it is for the C add 9 and for the G. Okay? Later in the song, we're going to have this G over B. This is just a G with a bass note on the 5th string. You're not going to need this in the chorus or the intro, so don't worry about it, okay? One quick little thing about the chords is for the C add 9, there's going to be a voicing we're going to use sometimes where we take off our index finger off of the 4th string. So it's going to be 3rd fret, open, open, 3rd, 3rd. That's going to come in handy. We're going to need this during the intro, okay? So you want to be able to sort of get good at taking your finger off and feeling comfortable with that chord. So those are the chords. Now, again, we have the tab here. You know, we could sort of hum da 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 G to C add 9 G. I'm not playing the tab. I'm just sort of doing the chords. Then we go back to G and D, then back to C add 9. Now I'm not doing the exact fills and stuff. C add 9 G, right? And G and D, then back to C add 9. Again, you want to get comfortable doing that. And the way I'd quickly teach you how to get comfortable with that is to look at this sort of chord progression write-up I have here. Okay, these first 2 lines of the chorus are exactly what's in the intro. And you don't have to worry about fancy strumming yet. I just want you to understand when these chord changes are happening, right? And if all this timing stuff is like Greek to you and it's over your head, just give me 1 minute because I think you might pick up something either way. Basically, the idea here is we're going to be on G and 2 and 3 and C add 9 on the 4 count and then back to G on the 1 count. Okay, so that first line is G, 2 and 3 and 4 and G and 2 and 3 and 4. Second line, G and 2 and 3 and 4 and C and 2, 3, 4. 4. So in that second line, this tricky part is the D is happening on the and count, after the 2 but before the 3, right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and C and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now the important part, again, is that tab I showed you before, it assumes that you have this sort of timing internalized. So if you don't have it internalized, sort of pause it on this screen or write this down or get my sheet music on my website and basically get comfortable with this. Count along. Well, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, right? You could sing along if you want as well, but basically that timing is going to be super important. The underlined lyric I have is played on the first 1 count, right? So they say love 2 and 3 is more precious than gold, 2 and 3 and can't be bought. No, it can't be sold. Okay, and again, that timing is what's going to match. Okay, I dropped my pick, but I was able to pull it off there. So let's get back to the tab now and show you how to do this with the actual tab. So again, that timing I just showed you is going to apply here. So the quick version to do this, and I say quick, I mean the sort of at a glance version, is as follows, and I'll walk you through each of these little licks and everything. The first one you want to get comfortable with is this. Okay, so put your hand in a G. When you see these first 3 notes leading up to the G, whenever you're learning a new lick like this, a new little fill, look at the context, right? Where are you going to end up? In this case, you're going to end up on a G chord. So it's actually helpful to put your hand in that G chord first. Get your sort of hand thinking G, G, G. And then what you're going to do is basically, I have to play the open 4th string, 2nd fret 4th string, open 3rd string, okay? Your mind should be asking yourself, how do I do that with my hand in this position? Well, the good thing is your index finger is perfectly suited to do that, right? Again. See how I can keep all these 3 fingers still, and then this finger can do what it needs to do? So you're going to use your left index finger here. Hammer on means you pluck the 4th string, and then you bring your index finger into it, like a hammer onto a board, and it makes a tone there. Okay, if you can't do a hammer on, you can just pluck them individually. Open, 2nd, and then open 3rd string. Then we go to a G chord. And now, before I move on, you can just practice this in a loop. Just do freely strumming on the G. And I missed that string there. That's why practicing is good. So get comfortable with that. That's the first thing you got to do. Okay, now let's move into this first full measure. We're going to be on a G for the most part, but then we're going to do a quick change to the C add 9 on the 4 count, and then go back to a G. But there's some other things happening here you can clearly see, which might have you scratching your head. The first of these is what I'm calling a percussive slap strum, which is like that. Or you can just silence all the strings by putting your hand into it. Now, if you listen to Chris Stapleton's version, he's doing this on every 2 count. And what that does is it sort of creates this silence, and then he's strumming again right after it. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so that's sort of how I would recommend practicing that if you want to do that. That's sort of silencing of the strings, which adds a great bit of effect. 2 and 3 and... Okay, now this next part. Instead of doing a regular strum of the C add 9, which you can do, that's the simplest way to do it, is you just do a single strum of C add 9 and then you go back to the G. But to play it like Chris Stapleton is, what he's doing is he's playing 2nd fret on the 5th string, hammering on to the 3rd fret, okay? And then he's going to end up back at a G. But before he gets back to a G, he's going to do this strum of the thinnest strings right after the hammer on, right? So again, if you look at the overall context of this, you're coming from a G chord, you're going to do this little change to a C add 9 with the hammer on and a light strum, and then go back to a G chord. G chord is where you're starting, it's where you're ending up. So with that in mind, this note, it almost can be thought of as like an embellishment on top of the G chord, right? So, okay, so I did the G, mute G, hammer on, G. And after the hammer on, light brush on the thinnest 4 strings, give or take. I'm just practicing it sort of in repetition here. And you want to end on a big G. Okay, so those first couple, the first measure. Okay, I just did the first line in full. So you have that lick twice, silence, hammer on, lick again. Okay, and then we get to this D. Now, the D chord. This one is a bit tricky. Okay, so there's a couple of things you want to do here. One is you want to hammer on this index finger when you do your initial strum. So I only strum the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string. I'm not doing the thinnest. No thinnest. You can do the thinnest if you want. I just think it doesn't really fit with this measure. Basically, if you can do the hammer on, do it. That's what he's doing there. And then this next part is... that's the main melody note. In my tab, those numbers are a bit bolder, and that's on purpose. Now this is tricky because you have to use your pinky, and your pinky might be very stubborn and it might not want to reach. So I have a whole separate lesson on this, actually, how to stretch, how to work on stretching your pinky. Lots of different miscellaneous tips. A couple of them there. Number one, using a capo is going to be your friend. It's going to help you because the frets here are shorter than they are up here, right? So the capo is good. Another one is you kind of want to bring your palm and your elbow in. It's going to make it a little bit easier to reach. But the idea here is 2, 4, 2, open, 2, 4, 2, open. Down, up, down, down. I'll get to strumming in a little bit. But I'm basically adding the 2nd and 4th strings as additional strings I'm hitting there. One more note about the D. If that gives you a hard time, a couple options you have here. One is you don't worry about going up from 2 to 4 to 2 to 0. This is requiring you to go up the hill and then back down the hill. You can just start at the top of the hill. Right? 4, 2, 0, 4, 2, 0, 4, 2, 0. There's less direction changes there, right? You're sort of starting on the 10-yard line and you're running it to the end zone, right? You're not going from the goal line to the 10, then back to the goal line. So that's one thing you can do there. Another thing you can do here is use this 2-finger voicing of the D, where you're basically using your index and your middle. This lets you use your ring finger instead of your pinky. It's easier to do because there's less stretching involved. The downside about doing this is you have to transition back to the C add 9 pretty quickly. And then I'm going to go to a C add 9, silence the strings, and then take my finger off the 4th string, and then do that C add 9 strum and let things ring. So that's the whole intro. Let me play it for you here, and after I play this, I'm going to get into the version with a bit more filler strums and everything. Talk about that as well. Okay, and that's how it ends there. So those are your options there. Again, I just learn the chords, go back to the rhythm section, practice those little exercises I told you, and it'll come together. But let me get into the sort of filler strum version here, right? This is the same riff, but it's written out with a bit more higher fidelity, meaning there's more detail. And again, this might not be for you. This might be more confusing, and I don't like that, but I like to offer both here. The idea here is starting at the very beginning. I included 2 different strings on that initial down strum on the very, very first note measure. And that's because that's what Chris Stapleton plays in the album version. Listen to the very first second of the song. Okay? Just sort of be free. It's okay to strum more than one string. Then you're going to get to your G. Now the filler strums I added here in this first full measure, check out how you have these light down ups that happen before the hammer on. So down up, hammer on, down up, G. Okay? Down up, hammer on, down up, G. So that first part. And you see that again in the second full measure. You have this quick down up, okay? These just add a nice bit of rhythm, and you can hear Chris Stapleton doing this again. So that first line in full. Second line. And the second line, the only thing different is he's doing 2 quick filler strums on the D after the hammer on. Okay, so hammer on. So let me do the whole thing here with the filler strums. And another filler strum you can add is before each percussive hit on the 2 count, you can do a quick up strum. Down, up, mute. Down, up, mute. It kind of makes the mute a bit more impactful since you're muting the up strum. You just do, right? So. One more time. And that's how you're going to do the intro to this song. So I showed you the sort of at a glance version, and I showed you the exact timing version. Again, fall back to this version if you're having trouble with just the timing. G and 2 and 3 and C add 9, G and 2 and 3 and 4 and G and 2 and 3 and 4 and C and... Because this is what you're going to use in the chorus of the song when you're singing. And again, it's the same timing as the intro. So the intro is one of these weird things where the more you practice it, it's going to help you. But then when you practice the chorus with just strumming and go back to the intro, it's going to help you even more, okay? So that's how you do the chorus. Now let's look at the how to strum and sing, the sort of chorus and the verse of this song. For this whole song, I would, at its simplest, I would recommend using this strumming pattern, right? It's a down, 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 up, down, 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 up, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and a down, 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 up, okay? Now you'll notice I'm not playing this little X I have written in here, and what I mean by that is, again, that silencing of the strings. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and a... Okay? So, how would we sing the actual chorus? It would be like this. They say love is more precious than gold. Can't be bought. No, it can't be sold. I got love enough to share. That makes me a millionaire. Okay? That's the chorus. Now, if we wanted to add some filler strums, that might sound like this. And I have this written out as well. The idea here is we're going to add some up strums, some additional up strums. So, down, up, down, down, up, 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 down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. They say love is more precious than gold. Can't be bought. No, it can't be sold. I got love enough to spare. That makes me a millionaire. Okay? Now the final version of the strumming here is to do the same thing I just showed you, but add percussive strums on the 2 counts of each measure. So they say love is more precious than gold, can't be bought, and it can't be sold. I got love enough to spend, that makes me a millionaire. Okay, now we can go from there into the verse of this song. The verse of this song is pretty straightforward. We're basically going to be repeating one line over and over and over again, one line of chords. And then there's one, and then the final line, it's the same chords, just the timing is a little bit different. So the timing of the verse is C, 2 and 3 and 4, and G and 2 and 3 and D, C and 2 and 3 and 4, and G and 2 and 3 and D, C, 3 and 4, and G and 2 and 3, D, C and 2 and 3 and 4. And the last line will be on the C and 2 and 3 and 4, and G and 2 and 3 and 4. So the last line of the verse, you switch to the D early and you do it on the 2-end count, just like in the chorus and just like in the intro. Okay, so I'll sing through that really quick, and I'll do the sort of full strum with the percussive slums. So I got a woman with eyes that shine down deep as a diamond mine. She's my treasure so very rare. She made me a millionaire. When we ride around this old town in my beat-up car with the windows down, people look at her and they look at me, and they say that boy sure lives in luxury, sweet luxury. They say love is more precious than gold, can't be bought, never could be sold. I got love enough to share, that makes me a millionaire. Okay, so that pretty much does it for the verse. A couple other things I want to note here is at the very end of each chorus, there is, especially the first chorus, he uses this G over B to transition into the chorus, right? The chorus kind of starts with this C add 9. And the idea is, since the chorus is sort of, you're going to end on a C add 9, just for a dramatic effect, he's going down to a G over B and then up to the C add 9. So if we end the chorus, that makes me a millionaire. Da-da, woman with eyes that shine. Okay, so that's one little thing you want to take a notice for there. I have that all written up in the chord progression for my sheet here. So that should give you what you need for this song. Again, this is a really fun one to play. The chorus and the intro are the same, so just sort of realize that, be good with that, and you'll be in good shape. But thanks all for watching. Hope this is really helpful. And again, you can get this sheet music. It is 4 pages. It is carefully crafted with absolute love by me. You can find the link, all my lesson notes, over at playsongnotes.com. That's my official website. I also have lots of other Chris Stapleton lessons, Tennessee Whiskey, Starting Over, lots of other good ones there. So check those out, and thank you all so much for waiting for this one. I know a lot of you requested this one. It's been a pleasure to teach it. So I'll see you all on the next one. Take care, my friends, and bye-bye. They say love is more precious than gold, can't be bought, and then it can't be sold. I got love enough to spare, that makes me a millionaire. I got a woman with eyes that shine down deep as a diamond. She's my treasure so at her and they look at me. See that boy, living luxury, sweet luxury, 'cause love is more precious than gold. Can't be bought, and then it can't be sold. I got love enough to spare. That makes me millionaire. I got